Hello, all. I wanted to do a discussion about getting a bachelor's degree. And the reason why I want to do this discussion is because a lot of times people pursue certain types of degrees because they are quote unquote passionate about that thing, but it really doesn't necessarily translate into you being able to get a job. There are some bachelor's degrees that I don't want to say are worthless because I don't think any education is necessarily worthless. However, you really need to think about what type of bachelor's degree you're wanting to get. And just because you are passionate about something also doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have an education in that particular field that you want to go into. For instance, fashion design. If you want to be a fashion designer, you don't necessarily have to get a bachelor's degree in fashion design in order to be a fashion designer. You literally can major in something totally different and still be able to pursue fashion design. You can pursue a career, you can pursue a degree, let's just say in biology or something like that, and still pursue fashion design. But since you can get certified as a teacher with a degree in biology, then you should pick something that you can at least use in the real world. Now, with a degree, let's just say in fashion design or textile design or whatever, it's really going to be difficult to get a job in that field when you do not have any experience. And at the bachelor's level, that's really not going to be a lot of experience. I think that you can gain in that sort of field, the more experience you have, the better. So if you're working in retail or you are working for let's just say a factory where you're making clothes, where you're taking someone's design and you're putting that together, that's going to look better than even a bachelor's degree in fashion design. You see what I'm saying? The same goes for something like anthropology. If you want to be an anthropologist, a bachelor's degree in anthropology is not going to cut it. That's one of those degrees where you're definitely going to have to go get a doctorate in order to be an anthropologist. No one's really going to take you seriously with just a bachelor's degree in anthropology. If you really want to be able to conduct research and you really want to be able to do field work, you're really going to have to go and get your PhD in anthropology in order to be able to conduct real research that people actually take seriously and that you'll actually be able to get published one day. If you say, for instance, go to Alaska and you want to study, the indigenous people, if you go over there with a bachelor's degree, people are probably going to be looking at you crazy. But if you go over with a PhD and you go over with a plan in mind, you've actually thought out what sort of research you want to conduct, then yeah, people are going to take you seriously. But again, we really have to be realistic about what we do because education is very expensive. And so you really, even if you have a goal in mind, it doesn't necessarily mean that education is going to be a part of that goal. Now, with if you want to be a social worker, obviously you're going to have to get a degree in social work. If you want to be a school psychologist, obviously you're going to have to get a bachelor's degree and then you're going to have to go and get higher education. But there are certain degree fields that you really do not have to, you don't have to necessarily pursue it in order to be in that field. You see what I'm saying? Another example would be if you want to work for a governmental agency, you don't necessarily have to get a degree in political science in order to get a job in government. You really can start applying for jobs at the in government. Depending on what you want to do, you really can start applying for, county, state, in city government jobs without a degree in political science. I don't know how much a degree in political science is going to actually teach you about any one particular job. So, uh, now, I will say, however, a degree in political science can get you teacher certification, but I don't know how many people actually seek teacher certification with a political science degree. But I will say, keep that in mind if you are thinking about pursuing a degree in political science. Think about probably getting your teacher certification so you could at least teach government or something like that. Until you can land a job in government that you seek. And let me just say this as well. If you want to go into law school, you also don't necessarily need a degree in political science. You can literally do anything in terms of a bachelor's degree and still apply to law school. The same thing with medical school as well. You can really pursue any education that you want if you want to apply to medical school. Schools are really looking for diverse applicant pools. So they want their applicants to come from all different types of backgrounds. And so let's say if you are thinking about going to medical school and you have a biology degree, there are going to be many people with a degree in biology that are going to be applying to medical school. So you may actually have a better chance of getting into medical school with a fashion design degree, actually, because if you're going to be competing against 12 to 13 to 14 to 20, 50 people with a degree in biology, your grades are going to have to be spectacular. You're going to have tons of research and shadow experience, and you're going to have a really good MCAT score because they're going to really start weeding out people with that biology degree. They're going to take the best of the best, and then they're going to look at other applicants who have a degree in something different. It's really about playing the game when it gets to applying to law school and applying to medical school. You really have to play that game. So again, when you are thinking about getting a bachelor's degree, really think about what you want to do with your degree. If you're going to get a degree, let me go back to the example of fashion design. If you're going to get a degree in fashion design because you want to be a fashion designer, definitely think about minoring in something that you can actually translate into a job. For instance, again, you can minor in, let's just say, English, and you can get your teacher certification in English. And so all the while where you're pursuing a degree in fashion design, then at least you can be teaching and you can be earning a paycheck. That makes the most sense. And some people they'll major in fashion design and then get a minor in anthropology, and then you're sitting there, working at a retail establishment after you've graduated. So again, it's very important that you choose a bachelor's degree that's going to translate into a job. For me, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology, and that did not translate into really anything that had anything to do with sociology. Now, sociology, as broad as it is, it's the jobs that I was getting still didn't pan out to putting what I've learned into practice. I did get a government job, but it didn't really have anything to do with being sociological, in my opinion. And so, there are some types of bachelor's degrees that you really can get a job. I mean, computer science is a great bachelor's degree because, they're obviously the field of technology is constantly growing. So if you want to be a software developer, a software engineer, a computer programmer, or something like that, and you get a degree in computer science or somewhere in that realm of education, then that really is going to translate into being able to get a good job. Now, I will say though, even going to get your master's in that or doing a dual degree program in computer science would be great because again, everybody's going back for their master's. Everybody's going back to get a higher education now because bachelor's degrees largely are a lot of people are equating bachelor's degrees with high school diplomas. Um, and that's sad, but that's kind of how it is. Different professions are requiring higher education. Back when before I even graduated with my bachelor's degree, the requirements to become an LPC were a lot less. Uh, I still remember when getting a becoming a licensed professional counselor, it required 48 hours and you only had to get around 2,000 postgraduate hours. But now it's required that you get 60 hours in the program and then you have to get 3,000 and in some states even more. So I say all that to say when you are thinking about getting your bachelor's degree, make sure that it is in something that is going to translate to a job.